different categories in the system. All the categories put together we are going to call as a catalog. Well, for self-service procurement, we have two types of requisitions. One is catalog requisition and then another one is non-catalog requisition. And coming to the catalog requisition, we can actually navigate to the catalog content and we can select the respective product. Nothing but we can define a catalog called as stationery, and under that we can keep items as any stationery items like books and pens and everything we can keep under that category. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a catalog. Under that I'm going to keep some categories. So I'm defining the structure for our self procurement purpose. Okay, and coming to the configuration for this, first of all we have to create a value sets, nothing but, and after that we have to create segments and then structure and structure instance, and after that deploying it. So already if you're already practicing any like chart of account setup, nothing but creating chart of account segments, so it's very easier for you to understand. So first of all what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the value sets, and later we'll create the segments, and then structure and structure instance we are going to do, and after that we'll deploy it. Okay, so coming to the navigation, we have to go to common procurement configuration here. And also if you compare this catalog with the R12, I can say it's a category set. Category set is nothing but it's a group of categories again. Okay, okay, let me close the product management. I'll only open procurement now, and define common configuration. Under that define basic catalogs, and this is your navigation. Procurement, under that define common procurement configuration, and under that define basic catalogs. Okay, so first I'm going to create the value sets. So this is the mandatory configuration because it is with the star mark. And select new. RTI catalog underscore department, and the module you should select as item catalog, and the module you should select as item catalog, and the validation type it's independent. Data type I'm entering character, so text, and then my length of this is 3. I'm entering 3, and then save. Okay, so directly I'm going to create values as well. So actually when you are creating the chart of accounts flexi field, so what you have to do is after deploying the flexi field only you have to enter the values. But here there is no hard and fast rule that after deploying only you no need to. You can also enter after creating the value sets as well. So you no need to wait for the deployment of the flexi field. Okay. So straight away I'm creating a value set. I'm entering the values here. Click on manage values. So in case of creating the segments for chart of accounts, so if you have to enter the values in the value sets, means you should wait for the deployment because it has the segment qualifiers. So that's why you need to wait for the deployment. But coming to this, you don't need to wait for any deployment. Directly we value. Select new. entering one more value set. This time, what will take? Will take advertising. So I'm trying to build our catalog and then category structure. So I have defined one value set and I've entered the values here, and I'll be defining one more. I told you in the previous session, if it is R9 version, you can see this icon is in the process. Defining one more underscore category. Here I'm taking more number of characters, around 40 I'm taking. So click on manage values. Select new. What I'll do is here for our information technology department, and the category I'm entering as laptop. So here directly you can also select save and close, but I habituated to go in a process, especially when you're working in the live environment. It's better to always go with the process. So under advertisement, what I'll do is I'm going to take browsers for advertisement department. And we have defined one more department, right? What is that? Admin department, and then marketing, and then IT. Okay.
Information.
Yeah, information technology. We created one category as laptop, and coming to the marketing department, we created brochures, and coming to the admin department, okay, we'll take We'll take stationery here. Okay. Okay, and that is fine. If anything required, we'll come back and we'll do it again. Not a problem. So I have defined two value sets. One is nothing but department, and another one is category. And I have entered the values. Okay. So and after that, we'll create a segments. Nothing but we'll go to the catalog flexi field. So it's the same navigation, and the bottom will say you'll see a task called manage key flexi field for catalogs. Manage key flexi field for catalogs, and the navigation is same navigation. Nothing but common procurement configuration under the define basic catalogs. You should go to, just now we have defined value sets here, and under that we are going to define the segments now here. Okay. Click on key flexi fields for catalogs. Okay, so by default you will get this, the product model is nothing but item categories. So click on manage structure. You have to select manage structures. Select manage structures. Select new. RTI catalog structure. And I'm taking the delimiter as dot here, and then save it. And now this will get turned on. When you save it, this will get enabled and create a segments under this. Okay, so we have taken, I'm planning to take two segments, and the API name it automatically generated. And the sequence, what is the sequence that you wanted to follow for this, and the prompt, short prompt, and display with 3 I'm entering, and segment 1 I'm taking here, and we have defined value set for this segment, right, that I'm going to attach here. So that is RTI. If anyone making a note of it, it's really better.
Yeah, little slow.
Yeah, sure. Okay, this is a value set that we have created for the department segment. So this is the first segment that I'm going to create now, and this is a value set, and already we have entered the values for this. And look at here, this flexi field code is, it's a material catalog flexi field code. So as I told you, there is no harsh rule that after deploying the flexi field only you should enter the values. But here, for coming to our catalog structure and this flexi field, you no need to deploy the flexi field. Before deployment also you can enter the values in the value sets. Okay, select save. And save and close. Okay, so let us create one more segment, that is category segment. Sequence number 2, and the prompt is also same, short prompt. We'll be taking some extra to enter extra letters. I have taken the more width here. And here you have to select segment number 2. So don't select the segment number underscore 1. So select segment 1 and segment 2. I'm sorry. Don't do a mistake here. So while creating the category segment, we have taken the column name as segment 1, and for this, sorry, for department we have taken segment 1, and for category we are taking segment 2, and attach the value set. RTI category value set. We have defined 2 value sets and we entered the values in that, and then we created 2 segments under the catalog flexi file. Like we create a structure instance for our chart of accounts. Here also you should create a structure instance. It is the same process how you define your chart of accounts. Click on save and then save and close. Okay. Select done. Okay. So we entered here, and we have created the segments and we have attached the value set. Now I'm going to create a structure instance here. Now I'm going to create a structure instance here. Main is structure instance. Main is structure instance. Select new. This is catalog structure underscore instance. And look at here, it's not getting enabled. Once you save it, it will get enabled. Network structure and flexible instance is required.
Structure name, structure name.
I'm sorry. So you have to select the structure name as RTA. Catalog structure. RTA catalog structure. And you can save it. So it should be visible here. Again, it will go to that value set. Sorry. It should display our segments here. I hope it is displaying, but we are not able to see it. Okay, you have to select each segment and you have to click on edit. Actually, it is displaying first segment, that is department here, and enable the required field for the department. This is the first segment, right? So I want this segment to be displayed under our structure instance. So you have to select the segment and then click on edit button, edit icon here, the pencil icon, and select required flag and select OK. And we have to navigate to the bottom. Just going only one segment. So for the first segment we enabled required, but for the second segment, let me try this. And select the second segment and then click on edit. And enable the required flag and select it. And click on save and close. So we have defined value sets, two value sets, and then later we have defined our structure. Under the structure we have taken two segments and we have created our structure instance. Under the structure instance, I want these two segments to be visible and to be required. Click on save and close. Select, done. And deploy the flexi field. Click on deploy the flexi field. You have to select here. We have created a structure and we create a structure instance here, and now we are deploying the flexi field. Click on deploy flexi field.
This is similar to compiling in our program.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. So deploy it successfully and select it. And click on done. Okay. So look at here, under that we have created a value set, and then under that we have created segments here. Under that we created structure, the structure instance, and then we have deployed it. Okay. So now I'm going to create a catalog now. I'm going to create a catalog now. Okay. That's the same path, common procurement configuration. Under that, create catalog. You should select create catalog. Create catalog. Catalog is nothing but it's a group of category. Category, it's nothing but again it's a group of items which has the similar characteristics. Category underscore catalog. So we can actually give any image to this catalog. That image will be displayed on your card, and you can also attach any documents here. and then attach our catalog structure. So control, you can select at master level and org level. If you are controlling from the master level, then it will also inherit it to the child organizations. Okay. So I hope you know this functionality and release all as well. Okay. So default category, after defining that, it will select it back, again back. Okay. And I have to explain you one concept here, that is catalog content. It is having 3 list of values here. So if the categories only means, that means we are tying our items to the categories, and the items at all levels means nothing but IT department, under that laptop, and under I'm sorry, let me select like this, electronics, and under that you will see laptop or desktop or anything, smart card. So these actually called as, look at here, this electronic, this is called as a browsing category. This is called as a browsing category. So to select either laptop or desktop or smart card, to select any of this item, you have to come to a browsing category. Okay. So here, if you are selecting your catalog content as item at leaf levels, means we are going to attach our items at the last level. Okay. In the middle also, if you want to attach, you can select items at all levels. Okay. So you can define a parent catalog and a child catalog. So based on this relationship, this content, catalog content, it's going to work in the system. Okay. I'm selecting item at leaf level.
Sudhir, can you please explain the concept again?
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. Can you please explain this concept again, Sudhir?
Yeah. While defining the catalogs, this is suppose, let's take, if you take any e-commerce site also, when you are navigating to purchase any product, you will be browsing to a different categories. Okay. At the end, you will be finding the product. Okay. So here, if you are navigating to the IT department and electronic, this is called as, especially this is called as a browsing category. Under that, we are going to attach the products, nothing but items. Okay. And here we have catalog content as category only. In that case, what we are going to do is, so under the IT department, directly we are going to attach these items, nothing but we don't have any browsing category here. If you are selecting only categories only. If you are selecting items at all level, means suppose if you assume this is as a parent category and this is as a child category, you can associate few items here and you can also associate few items here. And if you select catalog content as items at leaf level, means at the end of the child catalog, you have to associate your items, your products. So based on the catalog content that you will be selecting here, that will display in the self-service procurement page. Okay. And if you want to have any attachments, suppose let's take for stationery, you wanted to display any image here, you can actually display here. Okay. So enter the catalog name and the description and start date, and then catalog code, and then catalog structure that we have created, and I'm controlling this catalog from the master level. Okay. Click on save and close.
Is there any image size here?
Pardon?
Image size.
I'm not sure exactly how much size it will take.
Okay.
But definitely there would be a restriction.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah. And after creating the catalog, click on manage catalog. You have to go to manage catalogs, and in that you have to define the hierarchy. Your catalog hierarchy you should build under that. Okay. So click on manage catalog. So this is a catalog that we have defined. Click on edit. Click on edit. When you click on manage catalogs, another browser window has opened, because it will show our catalog information very clearly after we publishing it. Okay. So here you have to come under item category. You have to come under item category. Okay. So after defining the catalog, you should click on the manage catalog. When you select manage catalog, you'll be navigating to another URL, and under that here we have selected, here you can see the catalogs that are defined under, and I'm selecting our catalog. Okay. Under our catalog, click on category hierarchy. Click on category hierarchy. Okay. So now select our category name. Under that, on our catalog, under that I'm going to define the categories. So you have to select add category. You have to click on add category. Second. I'm sorry. You have to click on create category. So this is used to add an existing category. So we are trying to create a new category here. So the department I'll be selecting here, that will come under which department? It comes under the information technology. And it's a same category, nothing but. Or you can put anything here. Suppose here I wanted to define like this, laptop charge. Now look at here, it is coming under which department? In IT department. Under that it's coming under which category? Laptop category, and this is the category name, laptop charge. Okay. And select OK. So you have to click on create new category, and after that enter the category name and description, and by default the category structure will be selected, and you have to select the department value from the list of values, and then RTA category. So it is not like here I'm using alphabets and here I'm using numbers. Anything you can use actually. You can use alphabets here also, not a problem. And select OK. So that is how you do enter the values. That's it. Okay. And select the catalog again. Back again select the, because under this catalog I'm creating the categories. Okay. This form is not user friendly, so yeah, that's fine. Okay. Click on again. And if you want to define anything under that, you can also define here. So under the laptop charger, if you want to define anything, you can actually define it here. Again, I'm creating one more category under the same catalog, RTA catalog. Click on create category. So first, let me check the departments and later I'll create the category. Selecting marketing now. Under that, vouchers. And I'll keep the name as RTA pamphlets. Okay, I just selected marketing department, and under that I'm selecting brochure category. Under brochure I'm creating pamphlets or anything you can define as a content, a course content or anything. Select OK. And again I'm selecting RTA catalog and now create a new category again. So let me look at what we have defined here. And
so Sudhir, here RTI department and category is showing as mandatory because we have made this mandatory.
right.
Okay.
So we would have created an admin department and we have created advertising. Okay, and this matching is not good. Okay, so under IT itself, I'm creating one more. For IT also, we require a stationery. Taking pen drive as a stationery. Okay, so enter your department and then category name and select OK. So this actually this you can frame your structure here, your category structure, and that you can enter here. Okay, so if you are getting confused on the structure creation, first time you can follow me. As the same structure you can create. For the next time when you are practicing, you can have your own structure. Okay. Click on save. And look at here. Now I'm able to select the default category for this catalog. It's not a mandatory, but still I'm entering the default category. Click on save. And save and close. For better practice, it's also better to attach few images to these categories. That will really make sense when you are going to the self-service procurement page. Okay, and if you click on publish after the catalog, if you click on the publish, so a new window will open and it will show you our structure. It's taking time. So here you can view this ring icon. That means it is loading. Format,
Sudhir, one question: Why? What is the reason of publishing this catalog? Like, what is the business advantage and business
No,
benefit?
actually, you can verify after your structure creation. You can verify. Here we have taken only few categories, but if you have defined many categories and if you have bulk items that are associated with those categories, so it's very easy for you to again verify here.
Okay.
Let me check the output format. Dear Excel. Okay. Let me publish this again. Okay, it's not a mandatory actually, but if you wanted to verify the details again, you can actually generate a document here, and that you can actually you can also send to your supervisor as well after your verification, and click on done. Okay, so we have completed our catalog structure setup. We have created a catalog, and then we have created a catalog hierarchy, and now let me verify again whether we have added the default category or not. We created a catalog, and after that, by navigating to the manage catalog, we are able to create the category hierarchy, catalog hierarchy. Yeah, default is. And after that, so select manage default catalog task. Manage default catalog task. Look at here. Manage default catalog task. If I open this task, you can actually remember the auto screen also. So for purchasing, we can actually select the default categories and look at here. And for inventory also, you can select the default categories. So for various types of functional areas, we can select the default categories here. Okay. So here some categories there already, and that if you want to replace, you can also replace here. Click on edit, select your functional area, and click on edit. So our catalog you can select here. Nothing but if it is a R12, we are going to attach a category set here. The category set is nothing but collection of categories. Since it is called as a catalog here, I'm attaching the catalog to our purchase. Okay. So this you have to come by navigating to the manage default catalog. We created a catalog, and after navigating to the manage catalog, we are able to create the catalog hierarchy. After the catalog hierarchy is created, you can actually make that as a default catalog for your purchasing functional area. Okay, and then click on done. Okay, we are done with our catalog configuration. So for which we have created a flexi field, and later we are able to complete our catalog. Okay, and after that I'm moving to the supplier configuration. I'm moving to the supplier configuration. Okay, so again it is under the common procurement configuration itself, and you have to select define supplier configuration. Let me expand this so that you are able to view the task properly.
Sudhir, I mean, before we move into that, one question. For item-related conversions, like what kind of process we need to follow here, like for item loading and all from legacy?
Actually, Oracle has provided a standard template, and not only for item loading. Actually, coming to R12, if you have to load anything into the system, we need to prepare that Excel sheet, nothing but that mapping document, and that we have to load. But coming to here, already Oracle has given some of the spreadsheets, which is by default coming with that values. So what we have to do is the values we need to enter in that columns, and we have to use the import and export to load into the system. Okay? So that concept also will be covered while we are creating the items.
Okay, fine.
We are not able to view the task. Might be. Let me check once again. So we have completed this. Let me close this one. And yeah, let me expand. Supplier. Okay. So under define supplier configuration, can you please go on mute? Yeah, thank you. And under define supplier configuration, so here specify supplier numbering. Specify supplier numbering. Okay. The first task that you have to do from the supplier configuration, specify supplier numbering. Okay. So you have to select specify supplier numbering task. And from this configuration, the supplier numbers are going to be generated. And as in R12, the supplier is controlled at global level, nothing but the supplier name is available across the operating units, but whereas supplier site is controlled at operating unit, coming to the R12. In the same way here also, the supplier is global, and whereas supplier site is local to the business unit. Okay. And coming to R12, when you are going to generate the supplier numbers are actually going to generate automatically, but here you can specify the supplier numbers here. But when you're, let me open the task, it's taking some time.
Do we follow TCA architecture over here?
Yeah, it is also there. I think it is taking some time. Yeah. Okay. So this is the next supplier numbering sequence, and all the few suppliers are already created in the system. So that's why it is directly showing this number. And also this number can be alphanumeric when you are loading the suppliers from the legacy system. but when you are creating the supplier manually here, it should be numerical only. So you cannot, it is not going to allow alphanumerics. But when you are loading from the legacy system any suppliers, so you can actually use the alphanumeric here. Okay. And also when you are loading the suppliers from the legacy third-party system, you have to make sure that it is going to follow the next supplier sequence, because it should not create unique supplier number is going to be validated in the system. So while you are importing to here, you should write a code in a such a way that that supplier number should not be used here in the system. Okay. So I'm not changing anything here. So just I'm keeping as it is. Suppose if I change anything here, it will create a problems in the system, because few of the suppliers are already created, I believe here. Okay. So supplier numbering is also possible alphanumeric in case of when you are loading from the legacy system and third-party system. But when you are creating the suppliers directly in the system, it is going to follow numerics only, numbers. Okay. And after that, so you can actually, while creating the supplier, you can select the supplier type. So that lookup we are going to define now. Main supplier type lookup. Main supplier type lookup. So here it's the same navigation and it's a task below to that. Main is supplier type lookup. Main is supplier type lookup. So all these are the standard. Most of them here are the standard lookups that are already Oracle has provided. So the type of the supplier is an insurance supplier or a manufacturing supplier or a service or federal or government supplier. So all these are the default suppliers. And if you wanted to, this is nothing but the display sequence. So from the list of values, and also give me a moment. And if you want to disable any of these existing supplier type lookups, you can also disable this. Okay. And if you want to create any new supplier lookup here, you can select new, and that supplier lookup can be created from here. Okay, so from here, that supplier lookup type can be created here, but the display sequence should not be here. Whatever the display sequence that you are taking, that should not be already used display sequence. Okay, so this is the way we can actually create the supplier type lookups. So this will be used while you are creating the suppliers. Okay, I'm not creating any records now. Yeah.
Basically, these fields will be used while creating a supplier, right? So the lookups are created. Right?
Right, correct. Okay, and if you want to create anything like health, so health is not here. Suppose if you want to create the supplier is related to health, that we can define here. So health industry, and the display sequence I'm taking 20, and then start date by default it's enabled, and you can select the start date, and then meaning I'm just okay, and then click on save and close. Okay, and look at here, it's not a mandatory configuration, just I'm explaining you for your knowledge.
How do the lookup values? Like each lookup should have values, right? So where do we configure the lookup values?
Where we?
I mean, each lookup will have some set of values, right?
Each lookup will have some set of values. So this is actually a lookup here. The supplier type is a lookup here. The supplier type is lookup is having a values. Just now we have created one value. This is the value health, RTA health. This is the value.
All the values. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I think you are confused. That's it. Okay, and next one, main is the tax organization type lookup. Main is tax organization type lookup. So this is nothing but, suppose if you want to give any extra discount or a tax, if you don't want to charge tax to the supplier, and suppose you can define like this, nothing but, suppose if it is a SEZ place, so there will be a less amount of taxes are going to be charged to that supplier. So that you can define here. But it requires the supplier certificate, and that certificate you can actually attach here. And the display sequence, nothing is used here. Anything we can take here. Okay, and click on save and close. And coming to the supplier configuration, we have specified the supplier number, and the type of the supplier lookup is also we have created it, and the business classification of the supplier also we have created here. And then main is supplier products and services category hierarchy. Okay, so this is the task that I'm going to navigate now, and this one, and all these are optional if you look at here. But coming to the okay, so let me go to manage supplier and then production service category.
The one with asterisk is mandatory.
Anyone, can you come again? Your voice is breaking.
Yeah, the one with the asterisk, the star mark is the mandatory one, right? In the
Right.
dashboard.
Right, exactly. But these are the configurations that you should aware of while you are actually implementing any project in the organization company. Okay.
Yeah.
And look at here, we have defined our category, right? We have defined category. Under that, actually, what are the supplier services, goods that he is actually providing, that we can actually define by creating another catalog structure. We can actually define here. So with that, what we can achieve is, while creating the supplier, it is very easy that we can actually select what are the goods and services that the supplier is going to provide to us. Okay, and this is also an optional configuration, and if you want to create anything, you can create under this. Okay, and if you create under this and you have to enable display in supplier profile, that checkbox you should enable. If you click on that, that respective products and services will get displayed on the supplier portal. Okay, again, it's a optional configuration. And if you want to create any descriptive flexi fields also for the supplier, we can create using the task called manage supplier descriptive flexi fields. So here itself. Okay, so what is a descriptive flexi field? Technically, it is called as, it is used to represent or used to store the extra information about a record. Suppose if you want to create any extra information about your supplier, you can use this descriptive flexi field task to create a DFFs in the supplier page. Okay, and this is again a optional configuration. Okay, so that comes the supplier creation, and let me verify. And we have done the catalog creation, and then we have completed our supplier configuration. And let me again verify our inventory organizations creation. Okay, I'll go back to the product management to see whether our location is reflected or not. First, let me check before entering everything. No. Okay, I'll check this and I'll let you know in the next class. And we'll next we are going to define a procurement agent. We are going to define a procurement agent now. So this is very interesting concept coming to a procurement consultant, and most of the functionalities are actually is been suppose I'll tell you an example. In R12, from the document types, we are going to achieve the security, document security, nothing but the access view only, and then full access and read only. So that actually we can, everything is actually modified and then it's in the single place. Now I'll show you that form, so you'll understand very clearly in that case. Okay. So now we'll create a workforce for our procurement.
Do we have any role as buyer over here? Or
Buyer is
it is
nothing.
very-
Yeah,
the
buyer is
procurement
nothing.
agent.
Yeah, exactly. Buyer is nothing but procurement agent. Okay. So now okay, and now let me take everything back so that it would be very easier for you to understand. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a user for our procurement. So to create user, so normally we're actually creating the users from OEM, right? So Oracle Identity Manager, but coming to the procurement users, you should create from the Fusion application itself. So because these users are going to perform transactions from the procurement side, so that's why you should create a user from here itself, and you have to go to the navigator to create this user, and here manage resources. Under that you can click on manage users. Manage users. So I'm going to create a user for our procurement, and for that I'm selecting the navigator. Under the navigator, manage resources and manage users. Manage resources and manage users. Under the navigator, manage resources and manage users. So go here. ఈరోజు మంతన్ సపోర్ట్ and select new here, create button. So as of now, we have completed configuration from the catalog side and then from the supplier side. The supplier numbering, supplier lookup, and then organization classification, the supplier organization classification, and then we can define the products and services that our suppliers are offering, and that will be selected from the supplier. And now we are creating a user. Okay, and the last name is mandatory here. RTA underscore PRC, nothing but procurement. And you have to give your email ID here. So just I'm giving the email ID as actually you can give your own email address here. If you are giving your own email address, then if you enable this checkbox, send username and password, so you'll receive that email ID. I mean, you'll receive an email providing your password details. Okay. So now I'm not entering any exact email because we have another option to reset the password. So that's why I'm taking some the sample address, email address. And the person type, selecting as an employee. RTI legal entity taken, and the business unit we have already defined, that is RTI BU. So this employee will be working under this legal entity under this business unit specific. Okay, and that's it. You can associate department, location, and the manager, everything, but these are optional. So just enter the last name and then any email address you can enter. Actual email address also you can enter, not a problem. If you're entering your email address, then password will come to your email, so that you can actually log in with that password. Click on save and close.
Sudhir, if I assign the person type as employee here, will that reflect as an employee in the employee record, or it has to I have to go through IDM and do it?
No, this will be reflected. It will automatically get synchronized. If you create anything OEM to OEM, that will come to the Fusion application database, and if you create anything, it will come. It will go from Fusion application database to OEM.
Thanks. Thanks.
But there is a functionality changes from creation of a user there and here. So when you are creating a procurement user, it's better to create from here itself instead of creating from the Oracle Identity Manager.
Why like that?
Is it Suresh?
No, Manjit here, Sudhir. Why like that? That preferred thing is to do it from here rather than IDM.
Actually, there are some transactions that are going to perform by this user, so that's why it's better to create this user from the transactional database itself.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So now Let me search my user. Oh, okay, got it. Now, after the user has been created, now we have to assign the roles. So now what I'll do is, to assign the roles, we can actually go back to the OEM. So the user creation, just the user creation we have done from here. So here I'm selecting our project, and then you have to go here, and then now you'll go to identity manager. Now if you select here, so this is where we have actually created initial user. So after creation of the user from the navigator, you can actually assign the roles from here. So define procurement, define common application configuration for procurement, and under that create implementation users. Okay, so here go to administration, and you can search for your user here. In the user it is RT underscore PRC. So this is the user that we have created over there. Okay, so now what I'll do is you can actually reset the password from here. Actually the password will go to the email, but if you don't want to open your email, and if the email address is incorrect or anything problem happened, you can also directly reset the password from here. Okay, so while you are entering the password, you have to follow the password policy defined here. Okay, yeah, it's changed successfully. That's fine. The password has been changed successfully. It's okay. And now I'm going to assign roles. So if you want to make this user as a buyer, so by default all users role will come, and by default again you have to assign one more role called employee. This role to access even requests, to access any concurrent programs, this role is required. The employee role must and should be assigned to every employee. Okay, and after that, if you want to make this user as a buyer, then you have to assign the buyer role. Okay, so then this user will become buyer. You can note down the values here. You can note down all users by default it comes, and then buyer we have to assign that role, and employee role also we have to assign. And apart from that, we have to assign some of the roles related to the supplier configuration, and then self-service procurement configuration and payable configuration side. And some of the roles I have already listed here, and we have already attached buyer. And if you attach the product manager and product data steward role, then this user will able to create the items in the system. To create items in the system, this user should have product manager and product data steward role. Okay. So please try to note down all these roles. Click on assign, and then product. So when you're actually going for implementing any project in the live environment, so what are the roles are required for a user, and nothing but this you can check from the security document that is provided by Oracle. There will be a document that is provided by Oracle. In that, you can actually view what are the roles that are required for the user to perform the task. I'm selecting. I can hear some noise. 1 second. So
I lost your presentation for a bit, and then I rejoined. Actually,
Anirban, can you come again?
did it happen?
Your voice is breaking, Anirban. Hello?
Yeah, actually, I lost the meeting and I was just kicked off, and then I was.
Oh, is it? You can drop.
Yeah, I lost you actually in the meeting, and then I was kicked off of the meeting, and then I rejoined.
Oh, okay, okay. Yes, sir. Okay, I just created a user. I created user from by navigating to the navigator and manage resources, and then manage users. I created a user from here, from this navigation, not from OAM. I have not created user from identity manager. I created from this navigation.
Manage user.
And after that, I came to identity manager, and I'm assigning the required roles for this user. So to make this user as a buyer, I just assigned the buyer role, and you should by default you should assign the employee role. And right now I'm in the process of assigning the mandated roles for this user. So to create items, this user need product data steward role and then product manager role. Give me a second. Yeah. Product manager and product data steward. Everything is getting selected. Okay. You have to use control to select this. I'm selecting these two roles. Please make a note of these roles. And again, click on assign. And we have another roles that need to be defined. We have to assign the category manager. So please make a list of all these roles. So assign the category manager role.
Yeah. Sudhir, what is the use of this one? Category manager.
So while defining the items, if you can actually assign the categories, right?
Yes.
You can actually assign the categories. So this role is going to be useful at that time. And also you can view the description. Procurement professionals responsible for item determination, creating request code, request proposal, and before they are, and then purchase order to supplier. Okay, and also this is also useful for creating the RFQs at the time and for bidding and for proposals. If you put your cursor on the description area, you can also view the purpose of this role. Okay, then click on assign, and then procurement requester and procurement preparer and procurement manager, all these roles has to be attached. So these roles will be created with our business unit. So I'm taking our business unit here. Okay, it's better to specific to the procurement. If I take, that would be better for your understanding. Look at here, procurement preparer and procurement requester. This role, these two roles I'm taking. And again, click on assign, and then let's assign the procurement manager role. Few generic roles that will be created with our business unit that you have to take, and some default roles also you should take. Yeah, procurement manager. Look at here, ensure that the product gets created, tested and shipped on the schedules and meets the specification. So it's nothing but he's responsible for managing the procurement process, and nothing but for the quality inspection also. This role is responsible for that. The product manager. And coming to this procurement manager, responsible for managing the group of users. And then this is catalog. This is related to the catalog. And catalog.
What is the steward?
The product steward and product manager. If you assign these roles, then user will able to create the users. Create the items. Okay. Procurement catalog administrator. Let's assign this role.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And actually, in live environment, when you're selecting the specific roles, you have to refer to the security guide, which is provided by Oracle. That security guide you should refer, and you have to assign the roles. Okay. So this is a new functionality introduced in Fusion. So that's why initially, for the first time when you are accessing, it becomes quite tough to understand the role importance, and slowly you'll understand the importance. But for the first project, it's better to check the roles given under the security document by Oracle.
In the document, we will get the details of the role also.
Yeah, exactly. Which role is going to do what activities, and that role privileges. Everything is going to be explained in the document. Procurement catalog administrator. I'm going to assign this. Even for the first implementation for myself also, I was really unsure what role to be selected, and I referred the document. Then I'm able to identify the roles. But even though if you're able to identify the roles, it's quite impossible to recollect these roles when you're working on multiple implementation projects. Then immediately you can catch these roles and understand these roles' importance. So that's why it's better to check the role importance. And procurement application administrator. and then supplier administration. So if you assign this role, so then this user is able to manage the supplier information. Okay, but this is the mandatory responsibility that we have to select. But apart from that, we have to select the other roles also which are coming with the supplier, because if you select all the other roles while you are creating the supplier, you'll be having access to the all the pages, nothing but. So it's better to select the roles that are coming with all the roles that are coming with the suppliers. I think around 10 roles are there. So select everything. So when you are selecting the total role, you can actually use your shift and then select with the shift the first one and then select with the shift the last one. Then all the roles will be selected at a time. Use the shift. If you want to select individual roles, then in that case you have to use control and then select. So if you want to select all the roles, then select shift and then at the end of the role, okay, and click on add. So I'm making this user to access all the information about the supplier, but the important information, that is supplier administrator is an important role, but I'm selecting all the roles related to the supplier. Okay, so make a note of this. Not only supplier administrator, the roles that are related to the supplier, everything I have added here. And why I'm Anirban?
Yes, Sudhir, I am back.
Because we hear some disturbance from your end. Okay, thank you. And after that, I will be assigning the roles related to the account payable and account payable manager, account payable supervisor, and payable specialist, and related to our business unit, specific to our business unit. Okay, and look at here, these are the 3 roles: manager, specialist, and supervisor. Select all these roles that are generated for our business unit. And then these are related to the warehouse manager. I'm making this user as a buyer, and then account payable specialist, and as well as is able to create the items, and he's able to manage the supplier information, and he's able to receive the items as well. Okay, so we have not created inventory, right? That's why this role is not generated. If you create inventory, then these roles will be created. We have not created inventory, that's why it's not generated with our. Okay, but these are generic, but specific to our business unit. The roles are not generated since we have not created the inventory organization for our business unit. Okay, and later we'll attach this, and I'm going to mark this. Okay, and the receiving agent I'm going to attach. Probably let's check whether might be this is also not created, because we have not created our inventory organization. Yeah, this is also not created. I think so. Yeah, it's not created. Okay, so I'll make a mark of this, and after completion of our organization's creation, then we are going to assign the receiving agent role to this user. Okay, so these are the roles that we have to attach. Okay, I hope you have noted down all the roles, I believe. Noted. Everyone is noted all these roles because these are important.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And that comes the configuration related to this user.
Sudhir, we discussed that procurement agent is a role, but here I see buyer is also a role. Is that the same? Like
For procurement agent, we are attaching the buyer role.
okay.
While creating the procurement agent, you will have a better clarity on this. Okay. So procurement agent is nothing but, so as of now, the supplier creation is done by a financial consultant from the in Artwell, but the procurement agent is responsible to create the suppliers and to create the purchase orders, and most of the information access that we are giving to the procurement agent. Okay. So let me open this form, then you'll understand, you'll get the better clarity on this.
Fine.
Next one, I'm going to create a procurement agent now. And let us follow the navigation, and it is under the define work structure for procurement, and under that manage procurement agents. So it is under the procurement and define common procurement configuration, and under that I'm navigating to where is this? Yeah, look at here, manage procurement agents. So under procurement, under define common procurement configuration, and under that, let me show you where exactly this is. Yeah, it is under define common procurement configuration. Okay, manage procurement agents.
Can we just simply do a search on the top somewhere, the way we do in Control L, and in figure out where it is the form in release 12?
Yeah,
is there any option?
Very good question. Actually, we can do that. If you remember the previous class, to create the inventory organization, I did the same because I'm not able to identify the exact navigation. So what I have done is, we have a search here, the task search here. By navigating to the task search, so here you can here you can enter your search criteria and you can click on this. Okay. So we have navigated to the procurement agents form. Navigation for this, so it is not under define procurement, it is under, so the navigation, I'm going to send you this Excel sheet quite shortly. I'm in the process of making everything. Even navigation is noting down here. So here I'm coming under, if I go to the top, so I am under common procurement configuration, and under that manage procurement agents. This is the navigation. Common procurement configuration, under that manage procurement agents. If you have any problem in writing your notes, you can stop me, not a problem. Anytime you can stop me, okay, so that I'll be able to understand your concerns. So you are paying and you are learning, don't feel shy to ask anything. And click on new here. Yeah, so nothing is getting processed here. You can refer to this one. Yeah, okay, it's open. So now I'm selecting our business unit and then our user. So here I have to explain you one thing here. So if you see two dot means any value out of this, any field you can fill out of all these fields. Okay, I'm just filling only one field, that is RTA underscore PRC, nothing but procurement. You can fill only one value, but if each and every field it becomes mandatory, I mean single star, then you have to enter all the values. If it is double star, you can enter only one field information, that is fine. Okay, so this is the name that I have taken. Okay, so the default requisition business unit also I'm selecting the same. Okay, and this is very important entry question for you. And so the procurement agent with the procurement agent, suppose in R12, if you create an employee as a buyer, then that employee can access any kind of document, that is nothing but either purchase orders or either any agreements or negotiations, anything he can access. But with the procurement agent, what we can do is we can actually, suppose if you don't want to create this this user to create an agreement, you can disable this. So nothing but look at here, is not able to create an orders. So if you don't want to allow him to create an agreement, you can disable this. So with the procurement agent, what we can do is we can also achieve security with the procurement agent, and we can control the document access from the procurement agent. Okay, this is an important entry question, and it's also a major change happened in the Fusion application. So in R12, if he is a buyer, he is able to access any kind of document, but here you can, whatever the allowed documents only, he can actually access it. Okay, and later also if you want to grant the access, you can come back and you can give the access to the procurement agent. Okay.
So what about the access to other agent documents?
Yeah, I'm explaining that. That is also very important. Okay, and in the document types, so actually this view and full access. Suppose if you enable this, if you enable full access, that means this user can access everyone. Like look at here, access to other agent documents. Full means he can access all the other agents documents. Okay, none means he is able to access only his documents only. So if you select few, he is able to access the other documents, other agent documents, but that's a view only access, nothing but read only access. If you select full, he has the access to look at the other agent documents, and he can also modify it. Okay, so this is a configuration. It is in the document types in R12, if you remember that screen. Okay, yeah. Any doubts in this? It's an important entry question, guys. Manjit, is it clear for you?
Yes, it is clear.
Yeah. And after that, coming to the agreements also, you can select any kind of access. Look at here, view, modify, and full access. What is the difference between modify and full access? Is modify means he can able to only modify the document. Full access means he can also cancel and close the document. That is the difference between modify and full access. Okay. And I have an experience of 38 batches on the R12. So if you ask me anything on the R12 side, I'm able to explain. All the R12 concepts are on my fingertips. So almost 38 batches I have completed on R12. And main is purchase agreements. This is also I'm selecting as full, and negotiations full, and it's not applicable for the others. Supplier quotations also I'm selecting full. Okay. And click on save and close. It's a very important entry question, guys. Being a procurement consultant, you should be aware of the exact procurement agent functionality. And after that, I'm coming to the approvals part. So as of now, if you recap the session, we have defined the catalog, and then we have defined the supplier configuration, We have not defined the supplier, we just completed the supplier configuration, that's it. And we created a user and we have assigned required roles to the user, and then we created a procurement agent for that user. Okay. And after that, I'm going to explain you about the approvals for the procurement. Approval for the procurement. And look at here, it's a defined approval management for procurement. We should navigate to that. I'll collapse everything and I'll open it again. Procurement, and then define procurement and directly define approval management for procurement. Procurement and then select define approval management for procurement. And under that, you have to select manage requisition approval task. Manage requisition approval task. Select manage requisition approvals task. Anirban, on the last class, you have asked some doubt about the approval process. Is it possible to allow the customization and all? I'm going to explain, I'm going to answer your question today.
Okay.
Okay. All your questions will be clarified on the same day or on the other day, but everything will be noted. Okay. So here, all the approval setups, at what stage you want to define the approval setup. Okay. Let me take this one, header. This header stage, and I'm going to edit the rules. At what stage you wanted to write this rule, you can select here. And like in R12, we have three types of approval hierarchies, that is position hierarchy and employee supervisor hierarchy, and then AME. But here I can say we don't have such type of classification here, direct classification, but under defining the rules, and when you are routing down the documents, you can select to which the document should be routed, either to a supervisor or either to a position hierarchy or either to a individual approver. That we can actually select from here. Okay. So after going to the manage requisition approval, so select header, select the header, and then click on new. So I'm going to create a new rule here. New approval rule I'm going to create. And then RTI underscore REQ underscore APP approval rule. Equation approval rule. Now look at here. So if you wanted to fire this rule based on any specific condition, if you want to fire this rule based on any specific condition, then don't select rule always applies. Then, or if you want to fire this rule for every case, then select this checkbox, rule always applies. Nothing but this rule always applies. And if you wanted to add any condition to this rule, and look at here, when I select rule always applies, it is taking that rule always applies as a condition itself. If you don't select that rule always applies, then you have to specify the condition here. You have to specify the condition here. So in that case, what happens is, so whenever any requisition creates for any requisition, it comes for the approval. So you can actually add the action directly without giving any condition. I'm going to add the action. Look at here, automatic, and then I'm going to select approved. If I select action type as automatic, and if I set outcome as approved, then what happens? So whenever any requisition is created, then that will be auto approved. That will get auto approved. Okay. So now I'm going to show you different conditions that we can define under here. I'm editing our rule. Okay. I just disable this rule always applies condition. Now look at here. Now you have to enter the condition. If you select rule always applies, then there is no condition. If you disable that, you have to create the condition here. Okay, look at here. You have to click on the add condition. So it's almost similar to this configuration is almost similar to the R12 AME. So a rule is going to contain the conditions, and then the action is going to taken by the who is going to take the actions that is going to be added under this part. This is exactly same as the AME that we define in R12. Okay, and if you have better hands on the AME, this is very easy to understand. And you can select the attribute on which attribute you wanted to write the condition. You can select that condition here. So you can also select a condition of requisition amount. All these are the different conditions that you can enter here. Now I'll take a standard condition which is very easier for our understanding. Okay, and if you want to write any condition on the requisition amount, look at here. You can select that condition and next operator, either equal or in between, does not equal, greater than, and less than. Suppose I'm taking less than or equal to. If I take less than or equal to, and if I give the value as some 10,000, if I give the value as 10,000, then if you take the action as auto approve, then what happens is, then if the requisition is less than or equal to 10,000 requisition value, then that will be auto approved. Okay. Any doubts here? Any doubts in selecting the condition?
No, that's fine.
And if you want to add any other condition, you can click on add another condition. Okay. I'm giving only one condition here. And for the first time practice, it's better to select the condition as always applied for the first practice. Okay. And later you can explore. So first of all, whenever you are doing any configuration for the first time, the system should go smoothly, and later you can actually explore on the configurations. Okay. And if you click on add condition, add action, so you can select action type as automatic. If you select automatic, then what happens? Then the outcome, what you wanted to do, either approve or either you want to reject. So that outcome you can select. Okay. And if the action type as select, this is for your information. If you want to pass this fast for your information, you can select information only. Okay. And if you select the action type as action required, so in that case, you can actually route this approval notification through a supervisor hierarchy. Nothing but if you select supervisor hierarchy, then what happens is, then this requisition notification will go for the approval for his immediate supervisor. Okay. And you can also select single approver, and you can also define a hierarchy, and based on the position hierarchy, that will route here, and based on the job level also, that will route here. And we can see one more option called approval group. You can also define the approval group. You can also define the approval group, and based on that approval group, the system is going to send this approval notification. Okay. I'm selecting the action type as automatic, and then upload select. Okay. I'm also removing this condition. I'll select rule always applies. Okay, so this is how the rules can be created. And now this is our rule, RTA requisition approval rule, and this is our condition, and this always applies, and it is automatically approved. This will automatically get approved. Okay, and if you want to disable this rule, you can actually disable this rule. Okay, and again, it's a single rule. You can define multiple conditions also. And if all those conditions are satisfied, then the actions are going to be filed. And click on save. And save and close. And after that, if you wanted to enable that particular rule, you should use this checkbox. Nothing but you can. This is already enabled, right? You can disable this. If you disable this, whatever the rules that are there under that section, that will be get disabled. Okay. By default, this is enabled. That's fine. And then click on done. Otherwise, you have to enable this. And now I'm going to show you how to define an approval group. So there we can see a list of values, nothing but you can send that approval notification to your immediate supervisor, nothing but you have to select employee supervisor hierarchy and otherwise position hierarchy. Otherwise you can select the direct person also. Otherwise you have one more option called approval group. So that I'm going to explain you now. Okay. So manage approval groups for procurement. The next task, manage approval groups for procurement. Approval mechanism, it's really simplified and it's more robust than the R12 functionality coming to the approvals and then procurement agent. And this might be your entry question. What are the major changes that you have seen from R12 to the Fusion? So then you can talk about the approvals here and you can talk about the procurement agent functionality as well. As of now, we discussed this. And from supplier side also, there is much more functionality has been introduced here. And as of now, being a procurement consultant, we always take in the financial consultant responsibility in creating the suppliers. But I believe from Fusion application onwards, we are responsible to take care of the supplier configuration, I believe. Because in our project, I have worked for a client called PMI, and for that client, we have done the supplier configurations. And okay, manage. We have to go to define approval management for procurement. It is under the common configuration. Define approval management for procurement and manage approval groups for procurement. It's not optional actually, it's optional setup. But to explain you what meant exactly the approval group and to explain you is that possible to create our custom rules. Yes, that is possible to create custom rules from here. Okay. Manage approval groups for procurement. Procurement, define common procurement configuration, and under that define approval management for procurement.
So there's one question on procurement agents. Can we have multiple procurement agents under one business unit?
Yeah, of course we can.
Okay.
Actually, in live, we are not going to give access to all the documents to the buyers. When you come to the live environment, since it's a testing environment, like we are practicing, we have given all the document access to the procurement agent.
Yeah.
Yes, because in the live the roles are segregated. So in that case, there might be a need that you should define the multiple procurement agents with access also. And here we have given the full access, but sometimes we might need to give the view only access and just a modify access as well. Then is approval groups for procurement. I hope you have written the navigation, I believe, and I'm going to the task. Today we discussed about the catalog configuration and then supplier configuration, and then we created a user and by assigning different roles to the user, and we created a procurement agent, and we have defined approval rules for our requisitions. And here, one second, you have two options here. One is static approval group and another one is dynamic approval group. Static approval group means if you create an approval group here, so based on that approval group, I'm going to select the persons here. Let me put the title. Okay. This is optional setup. Okay, and you can assign here another user. Let's check any other user is there, because we have defined only one user, and I'll check with some RTA. With RTA maybe. Okay. And if you want to practice this static approval group concept, you need to define more than one employee. Okay. Let me take any user, that's okay. Okay. So this is the static approval group the system is going to follow. First it will come to this user, and next it will come to this user. Okay. And while you are creating, let me go to the that rules. I'm saving this. This approval group has been created now, and under header, and then go to edit rules, and under the action, look at here action type. If you wanted to select routing based on approval group, look at here our approval group is been appearing here. So then system will follow this approval group for the approval. Okay. So this is static approval group. This is, and we have another option called dynamic approval group. So this dynamic approval group, it is only given in the on-premises environment, not on the cloud. This option is only for the cloud. So what we have to do is you need to write a Java class here. You need to write it's a more of a technical consultant role. You should write a Java class here, and in the Java class you should specify the rules and conditions and the approval persons that are going to be considered. Nothing but in the Java class, based on a position or a job of an employee, if you want the approval, then your code should be in that way. And if you wanted to derive the approvers based on any attribute, nothing but if the requisition amount is greater than that, and this, so all those rules has to be defined under this Java class, and that Java class name has to be here, given here, and that should be deployed into the environment. Okay. So whereas cloud, Oracle is not going to allow to do this mechanism. If it is on premises, you can write your own custom code to derive the approvals, Okay. I hope I have clarified Anirban's question here.
Okay. So like imagine and there can be a situation where like we are going for a position hierarchy, and once the position hierarchy as a first level of approval, and post the person approves, then it goes to the finance manager. So what kind of combination we have to select over here?
That you don't need to do anything here. Just here itself you can manage that sort of requirements by defining the multiple rules and multiple action types.
I see. Okay.
So here you can actually explore that. So your condition should be two conditions you have to define, and 2 actions you should define at that for that requirement. Okay. So this is very robust, defining these rules and conditions. This is really very robust. So first I'll suggest you to practice on the rule always applies condition, and later based on your own requirement you can actually practice this. If you practice that right now, I mean in your practice, whenever the customer is asking for that sort of requirement, you can immediately answer the customer, yes, that is possible with the standard functionality. Okay. So I'm planning to close the session for today until this configuration. And if you have any questions until now, you can ask me. And if I recap you today concepts, and we have created a catalog structure with the different categories we have taken, and it is not mandated that you have to follow my category only. You can define your own category. Nothing but when you are taking your catalog structure, don't go to any e-commerce site, and better to take e-commerce site browsing structure. Whenever you are selecting any product, you will navigate to home button and electronics. Under electronics, TV, under TV, different product you will be selecting. So if you want to build that sort of catalog structure, you can actually build that, okay, for your practice. And for the better practice also, you can also attach the images for the view, okay. So you can practice the catalog in that way. But for the fastest time for understanding, you can also follow my methodology. And then I'm not making this catalog structure more complex, because I want to make you the concept very clear and understandable. So later you can explore this, and we are not a freshers, okay. So that's why I have a gut feeling that you can actually explore all these configurations, okay. And coming to the supplier configurations, we have specified the supplier numbering and supplier type lookup and business classification of the supplier, and the product and services that are going to be offered with the supplier. Already we can define here nothing but the standard categories. Nothing but this, if the supplier is an electronic supplier, so computers and then TVs and washing machines, fridge. So everything you can actually define here. If you define the product and services one time, all those products and services can be selected while creating the supplier. when you're defining the supplier for many times, so with the one configuration, you can select the product and services in the supplier level. Okay. And you can also define supplier descriptive fields to capture extra information. And after that, we have defined the user by navigating to the navigator and manage resources and manage users. And all these are the roles that we have attached to the user. And we are not able to attach the warehouse manager and warehouse operator responsibility role, since I'm sorry, I'm actually talking as a responsibility here. Actually, it's a role here. We are not able to assign warehouse manager and warehouse operator role, since we have not created inventory organization. That's why these roles are not generated for our business unit. And receiving agent is also not generated our user. That role is not generated since we have not created inventory organization. And coming to the supplier, so this is the mandatory role that we need to assign to our user. Apart from this, if you wanted to, if the user has to access all the pages in the supplier, then it's better to attach all the supplier roles, whatever is listed in the roles screen. Okay. And after that, we have defined the procurement agent. From the procurement agent, we can give access to the different documents, nothing but purchase orders and negotiations and agreements and supplier creation and everything. And the access also we can control from here. And we can give non-access and full access, view access, only modify access also we can give from the procurement agent configuration. And after that, we started defining the approval configurations for the procurement, and we have defined the requisition approval, and we have defined one approval rule, and we have enabled our approval rule, and the condition we have taken always applies. Okay. And it is automatically get approved. Okay. And after that, I have explained you how to create a static approval group and dynamic approval group. Okay. So that's from my end for today. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. And we are unable to create master org and inventory organization since there is a problem with the location creation. I'll check that and I'll let you know in the coming class on Saturday. Okay. And for better practice, it's better to practice until all these concepts, because you have 1 week of time for our session. Again, our session will be on 7th, right? So in between, you can practice until here, so that it will be very easier for you to understand next coming concepts without any problem. Okay.
Sudhir, you have defined what is my requisition approval, and then you have again gone and defined the static and dynamic rule. Will the requisition approval rule not suffice?
Yes, actually, you can create a position hierarchy. If you are creating a position hierarchy also, there itself, you can actually, that position hierarchy is also based on positions you'll actually define. It will actually, notifications will go. But if you wanted to any static way, I mean, there are no parameters and there is no condition for approvals. In that case, you can go for the approval group.
Okay.
So you don't have any condition in selecting the approvers. So in that case, you can go for the static approval group.
Otherwise, the requisition approval itself should be sufficient.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
We always need to go for the approval group, because most of the things that we can actually possible from there itself.
Okay. Thank you, Sudhir.
Thank you. And if you have any concerns also, you can actually talk to me, not a problem, in writing the notes and in explanation and everything. Okay. And if you have any questions, you can ask me. And everyone has to understand it's a very new product. So it's not possible to explain all the functionalities in everything, because for that, at least we should do different kinds of projects for different industries in different verticals, nothing but then only we can explain. So if right now we are very experienced on R12, right? So suppose if you ask me any questions, or if I ask you any questions, you are very better experience on R12, we can able to explain. But since this is a very new product, you have to understand that. So some of the things that need some expertise to be worked on the different verticals of the projects. Okay. Any questions, guys? I'm planning to close the session for today. See you in the next.
Thank you.
Bye bye.